Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back for another 1949 game with Diamond Mine Baseball. And as you can see here, we've got the New York Yankees against the Detroit Tigers. Yankees are still in first place. They're still dominating the American League, just as you would expect. 15-4 New York so far this season. Here's Woodling, and he leads this one off with a base hit over to right field, and that'll bring up Phil Rizzuto. I decided to go through and change the lineup slightly for both teams, though it really isn't that different if you've been watching all along. Rizzuto with a 1-0 count on him, hits a little bunt over back to Hutchinson at the mound. He throws over to first base where Barry is covering, and Woodling moves up to second, one out, and that brings up Tommy Henrich. Scooter doing what he needs to do to get Woodling over to second, and Henrich hits one deep to left field. Evers has it for the out, and Woodling moves up to third base, 2 outs, and here's Cliff Mapes. Mapes hitting .324, hitting in that number 4 spot, and he hits a little looper over to shallow right field, and Wirtz is there and makes the catch, and we'll go to the bottom of the first. Here is Hoot Evers. And Tommy Byrne is going to be the pitcher for the Yankees. He gets a strike in there against Evers, and there's a ball, 1-1 the count, and there's a fastball for a strike, 1-2 now, and there's a swing and a miss on that one, and Evers strikes out, one away, and here's Paul Campbell. Campbell has a 1-0 count on him. He's been quietly hitting .384, and he was kind of on the bottom of the order, 2-1 the count to Campbell. This is the reason why I do this, and that one goes through Rizzuto at short for a base hit, and that'll bring up George Kell. Kell only hitting .281. Kell, who in real life was the batting champion in the American League in 1949. 1-1 now the count on Kell. And there's a base hit over to center field, and Campbell is around second base, but we're going to play a little bit conservatively. Tigers need to do a little bit more conservative base running here because they don't get a lot of opportunities like this. There's a ball in there and then a strike over to Groth. And as usual, I just realized that I forgot to set everything up. Let me have just a moment here as I get all of my folders and everything set up so that it is just perfect and just the way that it needs to be. And once we get this set up right, we will continue. Important to set this up right because that way it's easy for me when necessary to create screenshots and other little things that we need for the blog. And that's part of the important thing. That's not necessarily the reason why we play, right? But it's important for us to sort of keep track of what's happening in each of these games. That makes life just that a little bit easier for everybody concerned. And let's just create a folder here. And then we come back up and do this as well. As I've told you before, and you can't really see what I'm doing, so it doesn't matter. I keep track of the play-by-play that comes through that's interesting. Next pitch comes into Groth, and it's a 1-2 count as there's a strike in there. 1-2, and Byrne misses high 2-2, another count. And there's one lined over to Coleman at second base, and he has it for the out 2 away, and here comes Vic Wirtz. He's got an average of .353, and he hits one straight to center field. Mapes goes back and gets that. We go to the top of the second. Here is Jerry Coleman. There's a ground ball over to Lipon, the shortstop, who makes the play. Throws to first for the out, one away, and here's Hank Bauer with the ball on him. Fouls one back. 1-1 the count now on Bauer, and there's one fouled off of his foot, 1-2 the count. And there's a ball into him, 2-2 now. And there's one fouled off out of play, still 2-2 the count. And there's one fouled off of the mask of the catcher, still 2-2. There's one low, it's a full count on him. And there's a fastball wide, and Bauer takes his base. That brings up Yogi Berra, who takes the ball. 1-0 the count. There's a ground ball over first. And Campbell does it himself and then throws over to second base and not quite in time, and that hits Bauer in the back. Not exactly an awful play, and probably not that much of a rare play, but interesting nonetheless. 0-2 now the count on Bill Johnson, and Johnson strikes out looking. Put Johnson in there at third base for the Yankees because he looks a little bit better than Brown, but a little bit is very relative, I suppose. And this will be Bob Swift up here now for Detroit with a 1-1 count on him. He takes a ball, 2-1 is now the count. And there's one that drops in there for a base hit, and that'll be Swift. I'm sorry, not Brown. Swift is on that first base. I'm not sure what side I'm looking at here. Neil Barry now, runner on first base. 2-0 the count now on Barry. There's a swing and a miss at that one. 2-1 now. And there's a change in the dirt. Ball 3-1 the count. And there's one low and outside, and Barry will walk, and that brings up Johnny Lipon. The Tigers with another chance to do something. Johnny gets up there, fouls one off, and takes one wide for a ball, 1-1 the count, and there's a fastball that misses. It's 2-1. That's in too close for a ball, 3-1 the count now, and there's a ground ball over to Coleman, who flips over to Rizzuto, and they throw over to first for the out. They get the double play. Swift moves over swiftly to third base. Here's Fred Hutchinson, who takes a strike, and then a ball. 1-1 the count now on Fred. And there's a changeup that is high. It's 2-1. And there's one over for a strike, 2-2 now the count on Fred. And there's one hit over to right field, and Bauer, in the end, is able to get over to it, calls off Coleman and makes the catch. We go to the top of the third, no score. Tommy Byrne, and he hits one deep, and that is gone. That's a home run for Byrne. Or were they saying that is his second home run of the year? I'm just going to take a look. He actually had 0 home runs in real life. He has hit 2 here in this game, or in this game in this season. That's pretty impressive. Somebody who did not homer at all in real life in Diamond Mine, not to have 1, but to have 2 home runs. This is one of those things that people complain about, which is exactly the reason why I am going to take a little screenshot of this. There are people who complain about Diamond Mine Baseball having this attribute that you can get players who will hit 1 or more home runs who never hit a home run in real life. And that's definitely a little bit of controversy. So we will go ahead and save this on over here. We're not going to do too much with that. That will be an interesting thing to talk about perhaps in a later blog post. 2 home runs for him, and it's only May. Imagine that. Here's Woodling swinging and missing, strike 1. Lunges at that one and misses. It's 0-2, and there's 1 high. 1-2 the count. Nice thing about that is that the game's not self-aware of the records it might be setting. 2-2 is the count on Woodling. And there's 1 grounded wide at first, and Barry has that one, throws over to first for the out. There's 1 away, and here's Phil Rizzuto, who takes a strike. 0-1 the count on the scooter. He hits that one back to Hutchinson, and that's thrown to first for the out. 2 away, and here comes Tommy Henrich, and he fouls 1 back, and Swift makes the catch of the fence for the out. We go to the bottom of the 3rd inning. Here's Hoot Evers. There's a strike in there to Evers from Byrne, and then a ball. 1-1 the count now. That's Lowe's. 2-1 on Hoot. There's one that's fouled back. 2-2 the count now. And there's 1 hit over to Woodling in left field for the first out. Here's Paul Campbell. Campbell takes the ball, and there's another ball inside. 2-0 the count now on Paul, and then he hits a little ground ball over to Johnson at third, throws to first for the out, 2 away. George Kell takes the ball and then hits one to right center field. Mapes going back, and is able to just make that play before crashing into the wall. For the out, we go to the top of the 4th inning. Good defensive play by Cliff Mapes, who leads this one off. 1-1 the count now on Cliff. He hits one into the hole, and that gets into right field for a base hit. Another hit for Mapes, and that brings up Jerry Coleman, who's got the big hitting streak, I think 17. And boy, that was set up inside, and that ball got away from Swift. That's going to be a wild pitch, and Mapes moves over to second base. 1-0 the count now on Coleman, and he holds up on that one. It's 2-0 now the count. And there's a swing and a foul ball, 2-1 now the count on Jerry. There's a bunt over the left side, and that's a good play by Kell to throw over to Barry covering at first base for the out, but Mapes moves up to third. 1-0 Yankees, runner on third. We're going to keep the infield back. And there's 1 foul back by Bauer. 0-2 the count on him. 1-2 now is the count on Hank. There's a ground ball to the right side, and Barry dives and grabs that one, but can't do anything with that, and that is a RBI for Bauer. That allows the run to score, and that could have actually been worse if the infield were in. That'll bring up Yogi Berra now, who takes the ball. 1-0 the count now on Yogi, and there's a strike down the middle. 1-1 now, and there's 1 foul back. It's 1-2 on Yogi Berra. And there's a ground ball over there to the right side. Barry can't make any play at second, so he throws over to Campbell at first for the second out. Here comes Bill Johnson, and Bauer moves up to second. 0-1 the count now on Johnson, and there's a strike on the inside corner. It's 0-2 now the count. And there's 1 hit back to Barry in at second base. Throws to first for the out. We go to the bottom of the 4th inning. Here is Johnny Groth. He fouls one off, 0-1 the count. There's a ground ball over to Rizzuto, and he has the tricky hop, but he plays it well. Throws to first for the out, 1 away. Vic Wirtz now, and he takes the ball high. 1-0 the count now on Vic, and there's 1 smashed over to Rizzuto up the middle, and he makes the play at first, 2 away. And here's Bob Swift, who takes a strike. And there is a double hit over third base past Johnson into the corner. Swift easily able to make it to second base. He's got 2 of the 4 Tiger hits so far. 2-0 Yankees, and here's Neil Barry, runner on second base, bottom of the 4th inning. 1-1 the count on Barry, 2-1 as he takes the ball. And there's another ball again, 3-1 now the count on him. And there's a big chop over to third base. Johnson has it this time, throws to first for the out. We go to the top of the 5th. Here's Tommy Byrne. And that's a low pitch that Byrne decides to go after anyway. Hits it over to Kell at third base, who throws to Campbell at first for the out. 1 away. Here's June Woodling, and he takes a strike. 0-1 the count on Gene. And there's a fastball below the knees for a ball. 1-1 the count. There's a ground ball over to Lipon, the shortstop. Throws to first for the out, 2 away. And here's Phil Rizzuto. And he fouls one off. 1-1 the count now on the scooter. And there's a ground ball over to Lipon. Throws over to first for the out. We go to the bottom of the 5th inning. Here is Johnny Lipon. Shortstop up there with a 2-0 count on him. And he hits that one high and deep, and that's over Mapes' head. And Lipon's going to be at second base with a double, and that'll bring up Hutchinson. The runner on second base, we're just going to have him swing away. And there's a long fly ball down the left field line. And Woodling has it for the out, and we are not going to run Lipon and risk that. Now down by 2. Here's Hoot Evers now, who takes a strike, and 1 low and away. 1-1 the count now on Hoot. And 2-1 as that one misses. 2-1 the count on Evers. And there's one inside. 3-1's now the count. There's one that's fouled back, and it's a full count now on Hoot. And there's a ground ball over to third base, and Johnson looks Lipon back, throws over to first for the out, 2 away. Here's Paul Campbell. Takes one high for a ball, 1-0 the count. And there's a ground ball over to Coleman, who throws to first for the out. We got to the top of the 6th. Tommy Henrik now takes a strike and then hits one over to Barry at second, throws to first for the out, 1 away. Cliff Mapes now takes a ball. And then a strike. 1-1 the count now on Mapes. And there's one high and outside, 2-1 now. And then he swings and misses at that one on the hands, 2-2. There's a fastball high and inside, full count now on Mapes. And there's a fastball in the inside corner that gets Mapes for the second out. Here comes Jerry Coleman. Coleman no hits in this one, 0 for 1. 2-0 now the count on Jerry. And there's a strike to him. It's 2-1. And there's one foul back to the screen. 2-2 the count now on Coleman. And he takes the ball outside, full count on him. And there's a little flare over to Barry, who grabs it for the out. We go to the bottom of the 6th inning, and it's George Kell. Kell takes the ball, makes another ball inside, 2-0 the count. And there's a fastball down the pipe, 2-1. There's one low and outside for a ball. It's a 3-1 count. And there's one fouled off, full count now on him. And there's another foul ball. And there's a pitch up and in to Kell, and he takes the walk, and that'll bring up Johnny Groth. One runner on first base, nobody out, and Johnny, that is, takes the ball. And a strike. 1-1 now the count on Groth. Still 1-1. They think that we're going to have a play on, and we're not going to do it. This run's not that important. We need the second one. 2-1 is the count on Groth as that one misses. There's a liner over to the left side, and that's off of Rizzuto's glove. That'll be a single, I think. Kell with a chance to go over to third base, but we're going to hold him again here at second. I'm worried with that ball over in left field. If it's on the other side, maybe we do it. I'm going to check again, and yes, it is a single. And that'll bring up Vic Wirtz now, runners on first and second with nobody out. The question is, do we swing away or bunt? The infield or in at the corners, and there's a 1-1 count on Wirtz. Swings and misses of that one. It's 1-2, and there's a pitch in the dirt for a ball, 2-2 now the count on Wirtz. That's outside. It's a full count now on him. There's a ground ball over to third base, and Johnson has it, steps on the bag for one, throws over to first for the double play. Wirtz stays around the bag at first instead of going to second. They could have had a triple play. I'm really confused about this. I'm really confused about how this works. Oh, I'm sorry. No, the throw is to second for the double play. Wirtz is able to make it to first, avoiding the triple play. I see what happens. Now 2 away now, bottom of the 6th, runner on first. That's kind of a rare double play where there's no play at first base. 1-1 now the count on Bob Swift. And there's a little ground ball over to Rizzuto, and he does it the easy way to Coleman at second for the out. We go to the top of the 7th inning. Here's Hank Bauer. And Bauer takes a strike. 0-1 the count now. And then there's one inside, 1-1. There's a change up in the inside corner for a strike, 1-2. And there's one hit deep to right field. Wirtz goes back and gets it, and that's 1 away. Here's Yogi Berra. Berra takes a strike in on the hands, 0-1 the count. And there's one below the knees. It's 1-1. And there's one high, 2-1 now the count on Berra. There's a ground ball over to Barry, and he makes the play, and he throws that one way wide and past Campbell. And, that's an obvious throwing error there on Barry. Barry, not exactly a great fielder, and that puts Berra over there on second base with only one out. That'll bring up Bill Johnson with a chance to do at least something with it. It's been a little while here, I think, since we've had any truly awful plays, and that was definitely one of them. That was really, really bad by Barry. 2-base error charged on him as he threw that one into the dugout. Doesn't know where first base is. Here's Johnson, takes the ball, and then a strike. 1-1 the count now on Johnson. And he takes a ball there. 2-1 the count on him now. Ground ball over to Kell at third. Looks Berra back and throws to first for the out, 2 away. And here's Tommy Byrne, who had that home run earlier. You can see right there he's had 2 on the year. And there is a base hit by Byrne down the right field line, and Berra scores easily. And Byrne pulls up at first base and just stays there. He's 2 for 3 today with 2 RBIs. It's 3-0 Yankees. There's one popped up by Woodling over to the right side, but out of play. 0-1 the count on him, and it's 0-2. We should have the pitcher leading off for the Yankees here. The way he's been hitting today, 1-2 the count now on Woodling. Hits one deep to right field, or right center field rather, and it's Groth, the center fielder, who goes back and gets that one for the out. And we go to the bottom of the 7th inning, and here's Neil Barry, who takes the ball high. 1-0 the count, and there's one inside. It's 2-0. And there's a fastball high, 3-0 the count now on Barry, and he takes all the way, and he'll go to first base with the second walk of the game. That brings up Johnny Lipon with the fast Barry on at first base. He takes a ball and then a strike. 1-1 the count now on Johnny. There's one hit to the right side and through, and we are going to go ahead and send Barry here. And the throw is not in time. We might as well do it because we need some runs. That'll bring up Fred Hutchinson, and we're going to hit and run with him instead of pinch hitting. Let's see what happens. There's one hit over to Mapes in center field, and he has it. And there's no tag there by Barry for some strange reason. I guess it just wasn't deep enough for him to tag up and score. That'll bring up Hoot Evers. And there's a ball in there to Evers. Want to know the count. I'm surprised there was no tag at all. You think he would tag up and fake it at least. There's one hit by Evers into right center field, and that's going to be a triple there for Hoot Evers. And he has the Tigers back into this game just like this. This is also why I say you never want to say that it's not going to happen, because you just don't know what's going to happen. Evers with the big triple with 2 men on. The Tigers have been threatening all day long, and it's finally come true. It's finally broken through. Here in the bottom of the 7th inning, Evers has the big triple, the big hit to set the Tigers up in a real big situation. And Evers is able to drive in 2. It's a 3-2 game now. Boy, doesn't that home run and that extra RBI by Tommy Byrne look big now, doesn't it? Evers now at third base with 1 out, and the question is, what do we do with Paul Campbell? Do we swing away, or do we try for something tricky? Evers, of course, obviously a fairly fast runner. We could try for a squeeze play to go ahead, or we could let Campbell sort of swing away. Well, now, this is where we have a decision to make. Because we're on camera, because, I like talking with you guys and want to give you something fun to watch, we're going to go for the squeeze play. So we'll do the suicide squeeze. Let's see what happens. Infield is in. It's down. And Johnson grabs it. Has to go to first with it. It's a good squeeze. And Campbell is able to drive in the tying run with that squeeze play. I know what all of you sabermetricians are thinking here. You're wondering what in the world I'm doing bunting at the top of the order, and I'm telling you, sometimes bunting is the right decision. When I was out running this morning, I was thinking about this problem, and I thought that, at some point in time, I'm going to actually write about this, about some of the strategy that's involved when it comes to sacrifices, because in some of these situations, it can really, really be useful, even if the infield is playing in. In that instance, it was exceptionally useful for us, and it's a 3-3 ball game now for the Tigers instead of us being down 3-2 the whole time. George Kell takes the ball. Another ball low and inside, but he swings and misses that one. 1-1 the count. That's kind of a miss. 1-2 now. He lays off one high. It's 2-2. There's the foul ball again. 2-2 still the count, and that's swung on a miss by Kell, and he strikes out again. That's the end of the inning. We go to the top of the 8th inning, but it's a brand new ball game, 3-3. Here's Phil Rizzuto, and Fred Hutchinson, of course, still in there. And Scooter hits one over to Groth in center field for the first out. Here comes old reliable Tommy Henrich, who takes the ball. Hits one deep over to center field. Groth, though, able to go back and get it 2 away. It's the wrong part of the ballpark to hit it in. Cliff Mapes takes a strike and swings. He doesn't. It's 1-1. He held his swing there and then fouls one back. 1-2 the count. 2-2 as that one's called low and away. 2-2 the count now on Mapes. Holds up on that one. Full count now on Cliff. There's one lined over to the right side. Campbell has it, picks it off, and we go to the bottom of the 8th inning. Johnny Groth, and the Tigers have a chance to pull one off. There's a ball in there to Groth. There's one below the knees, 2-0 the count, and there's a little ground ball over to second base, Jerry Coleman, and Coleman, unfortunately for him, unable to do much of anything. That one is going to be an infield hit there for Groth, and the Tigers have something cooking here in the bottom of the 8th inning. The leadoff hitter Groth is on at first base, and I tell you, as nice as Tommy Byrne has been in terms of offense, his defense has not been so great in this game. The question is, do we risk the double play? Do we bunt? Do we hit and run? I think we hit and run with Vic Wirtz. 0-for-3 so far today, and there's the looper over to Bauer, and it drops off of Bauer's glove, and that's a base hit for Wirtz. That's another really, really poor play here for the Yankees, uncharacteristic of them. And that's going to be a base hit for Wirtz, and he stays there at first base. Runners on first and third now for the Tigers with nobody out, and that'll bring up Bill Swift. And Bill Swift has been on base. I'm not looking. Here I am now. He's 2 for 3 today. I was going to say he's been on base a couple times. I would remember that. Runners in first and third, nobody out. New York, of course, with the infield in. 1-0, 2-0 now the count on Swift. There's one bounced foul, just barely foul. 2-1 now the count. 3-1, and we'll have him take this pitch. And he takes ball 4, and that's awful by Byrne. That'll bring up Neil Barry, and Barry, as bad as he's been on defense, is 0-for-1 today with, I think, 2 walks and has scored the run. I've told you this before. I'll tell you this again. The problem that this Yankees team has, its Achilles' weakness is the bases on balls, and if you can get the team to walk you, they'll walk you all day long. Bases are loaded with nobody out here in the bottom of the 8th inning. The Yankees are going to stick with Tommy Byrne as we have Neil Barry up there. we're just going to have him go swing it away, and there's one that almost drills him, knocks him off the plate, 1-0 the count. There's one that sharply hit the second base, and that gets by Coleman for an error, and that will have everybody move up one bag, and that's an awful play, and that brings up Joe Page. This is the problem, as you can tell when I try to announce this game while I'm reading at the same time, because sometimes if the words are similar, you won't say what you think, you'll say what you see. And we don't want to necessarily say what we see and say the wrong thing. Bases loaded here still for the Tigers with nobody out here in the bottom of the 8th inning, 4-3 Detroit. Here's Joe Page, and I think it was a little bit too late to bring him in. Here's Johnny Lipon, 2 hits, 2 for 3 today, and has not driven anyone in. And boy, there's one that gets away from Berra, but Wert's not quite risking the advance. 2-0 now the count on Lipon. 2-1 now. There's a pop-up on third base, and that's in there for a base hit. My goodness, and that's another hit there for the Tigers. It is 6-3 now, and that'll bring up Fred Hutchinson. That scores 2. It does score 2, and yeah, boy, this game has changed in a hurry, hasn't it? Hutchinson's going to do a little hit and run. And there's one foul back. 0-1 the count. There's one hits sharply to second base. We will send Barry home. And Coleman goes to second for 1, on to first for the double play, but the Tigers score another one. It's 7-3 Detroit, and they've really come back in this game. There's a ball in there to Hoot Evers, and strike as that one swung on a miss. And there's a ground ball to Rizzuto at short, makes the play to first for the out. We go to the top of the 9th. Here's Jerry Coleman. Coleman fouls one back, 0-1 the count on him, and there's a fastball that misses 1-1. There's a line down the third base line and just foul. It's 1-2, and there's one hit over to Lipon, the second baseman, and that's through for an error. That's going to be the end of Jerry Coleman's hitting streak, unfortunately, and they're going to say, what about that official score? Let's change that to a hit. Well, not likely. It went right through Lipon's legs. 1-1 now the count on Hank Bauer, and there's a fastball low and inside for a ball. 2-1 now the count. And there's one foul back, 2-2 now, the count on Bauer. And that's high and inside. It's off speed, full count on him. And that's low for a ball. That's ball 4. Hutchinson just needs to get 3 outs. Runners on first and second with nobody out. There's one lined over to left center field, and that's going to be a base hit, and that's an RBI for Berra. And we've got to stay alive again, or look alive. Hutchinson's starting to fall apart here for the Tigers. It's 7-4 now. I thought surely with a 4-run lead going to the top of the 9th inning that it would be safe, but you never know. Not with Yogi Berra up there. Now, remember that this runner who's on third base doesn't matter. The runner who's on first base doesn't matter because we still have a 3-run lead. That brings up Bill Johnson, who hasn't hit anything at all this year. There's a ground ball over to second. Barry has it. Flips over to Lipon for 1 and over to first for the double play. And it's now 7-5, but we'll take that. Here's Joe Page, and the computer's not pinch hitting for Page. Look at that. 1-1 now the count on Page. And there's one foul straight back as 1-2, and that's another one of these where the computer's not going to pinch hit. Page hits a ground ball over to Lipon, the shortstop, throws to first for the out, and that does it. The computer's not pinch hitting because of how the manager profile is created. So I have already written about that. I have already talked about that. You can go read all about that. I've talked about it many times. I'm not going to go nuts here. The Yankees lose this one. Tigers win 7-5, and the Yankees, of course, are still in first place, but look a little bit more mortal now. I hope you've enjoyed that one. Boy, I tell you, this was really the show of Tommy Byrne, who really exploded offensively for the Yankees, but it just wasn't enough. Talk to you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.